Happening today in your fast track to the top of the hour, a man charged on 2 counts of domestic violence in Cass County expected to be in court today. Marco Lee Balgannon was arrested last November in Fargo after allegedly beating a woman at a Motel 6, causing several injuries to her face and neck.
Court documents say the victim told police Balgannon had been beating her all day before she eventually escaped him and another man was able to step in and help. Balgannon has pleaded not guilty to both counts and is expected in court this afternoon. Also happening today, the murder trial for a Fergus Falls man is set to continue in Ramsey County.
44-year-old Matthew Ecker was charged with second-degree murder in connection with the death of Alexandra Penning of St. Paul. He originally reported she shot herself in the head. Jury selection began yesterday and will continue into today. He faces up to 40 years in prison if convicted.
The second person in a Fargo couple accused of sharing child porn on Snapchat is set to appear in court today. Tracy and Cameron Thomas pleaded not guilty to the charges in November.
Court records say investigators found Snapchat conversations between the two where they shared photos of young children. Documents say the two admitted to sending the images to each other. Tracy was in court yesterday. Cameron will be later today. We have breaking news just into our newsroom this morning of a vehicle fire happening right now in Moorhead. Crews were called out to reports of an engine smoking near the Churches United in the 1900 block of First Avenue North.
According to scanner traffic, a man was reportedly down in the vehicle. We'll be sure to bring you more information as soon as it becomes available. You can stick with Valley News Live as this story develops. And today marks the first of 2 first alert weather days across the Red River Valley with the return of some winter weather. With more on that, let's send things over to meteorologist Lisa Green. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning. Yes, so we are going to see snow come back here today and into Friday. And we, of course, have first alert weather days to alert you to the fact that we're going to be dealing with this here in the forecast. Here's a look at our view on our Skycam down at the Dakota Magic Casino, right on the South Dakota, North Dakota line. That's where we've had some rain start up. You can see the moisture, the drops on the camera dome there. And if you look closely, you can see at times that little bit of rain coming down in that area. So already seeing some rain in spots. And then on top of that, we have a little drizzle, a little fog, reducing our visibility again this morning in places. It's more the case in eastern North Dakota. Grand Forks, Grafton, Cavalier, all reporting quarter-mile visibility. So is Carrington. Langdon's down to 0 for visibility, and Carrington's at a half-mile. So that's kind of the focal point for the dense fog. There are some areas where visibility is lower in places like Gwinner, but this is also where we're getting some rain showers right now, right in the southern end of the valley. We're at 2 miles visibility there. Here's a look at our conditions here. We've got rain reported in Fergus Falls. We're at 43 degrees, very mild on the warm side of the system. Fargo also on the warm side at 47 degrees right now on a February morning. If we went up from there today, that would be a record for the warmest low temperature. However, that number is going to be sliding through the day, so we'll end up a lot cooler into tonight. And heading into Grand Forks, we are at 37 degrees with that fog going on. Some places closer to freezing, like in Devil's Lake. I mentioned the rain. It is affecting us down in the Gwinner area. You can see rain showers in Sargent County back over into what now is Wahpeton, Breckenridge, maybe seeing a few areas of light drizzle, and also back over to Fergus Falls reporting those showers too. And this is lifting northward. We will expand the view here so you can see the whole valley and put this into motion. You can see that rain pushing to the north. More substantial rain just east of us, but we'll watch our rain fill in, and you can see the rain snow line right on the edge of our viewing area in western parts of Dickey County. Eventually, that will start moving eastward as we fill in more of that moisture. So on this Giving Hearts Day today, we're looking at conditions that are going to be, again, on that downward trend for temperatures for Fargo. It's going to be a slow slide, though, so it's going to be mild throughout the day. You can see chances for rain even through the 4 o'clock hour. But after that, that's when we start to see that transition over to snow. And we just talked about, we're looking at some places that might just see a few flakes and that's it. And then some spots that may get a few inches, maybe even as many as 5 inches of snow up along the international border with this event. So any little bit of snow, I think, is going to be a little shock to all of us because of the recent spring-like weather that we've had. But as you see with our temperatures, we're returning to winter. A high of only 28 by Friday. Some of that snow that accumulates and are falling still on Friday in the valley may get blown around too. So that could affect some travel. We'll, of course, be keeping you updated right here on Valley News Live throughout the day today and on the VNL weather app.
It was raining hearts in studio here too.
Yes, yes. So that's what we'd rather see right now, right? Hearts and maybe some sunshine. We're going to have to wait a little bit for that.
Fingers crossed. Thank you, Lisa. Well, it's another historic day at the U.S. Supreme Court today, with justices set to hear a landmark case on whether former President Donald Trump is eligible to run for a second term for the White House. At question is whether his actions in the lead up to January 6th disqualify him based on a Civil War era 14th Amendment clause.
Now, this is the first time since the Bush versus Gore decision in the year 2000 that the High Court has been thrust into the center of a presidential election, with major implications for the current GOP frontrunner. Michael George has more on what to expect and what's at stake.
The line began forming yesterday into the night outside of the U.S. Supreme Court, where the 9 justices will hear oral arguments today on whether former President Trump is eligible to stay on the 2024 ballot.
This is a landmark decision, and I want to be in the room where it happens, to quote Hamilton.
The legal battle was sparked after Colorado's Supreme Court ruled in favor of a group of voters who challenged Trump's candidacy based on his actions on January 6th. They argued those actions violated Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which disqualifies officers of the United States who have engaged in insurrection or rebellion from holding office.
Once a state has said that Trump is disqualified, the Supreme Court had to weigh in. It's going to have to resolve a number of difficult legal and factual questions.
Trump's legal team argues he is not an officer of the United States as a former president, and that he did not engage in an insurrection. The justices will also be asked to consider whether state courts have the power to enforce Section 3.
They're deciding something for which there's not a lot of modern precedent, where political tensions are high.
The Supreme Court's ruling will reverberate throughout the country, with challenges to Trump's candidacy pending in over 30 states, including Maine. Michael George, CBS News.
Today's arguments come just 2 days after a D.C. federal appeals court rejected the former president's claim of broad immunity from federal prosecution as it relates to special counsel Jack Smith's election interference case.
The president's team has until next week to appeal that decision. The U.S. Senate has officially shot down the recent border bill and foreign aid package. It needed 60 votes to pass, only got 49.
In yesterday's vote, both North Dakota Senators John Hoeven and Kevin Cramer voted no. Only 4 Republicans voted in favor, and 5 Democrats joined the rest in voting against. However, Cramer says the failure of this bill does not mean that it was invalid. He says there were good policies within it.
In fact, he says there were deals that may not come again if members can't find a way to come together and do it.
My greatest fear is that the will, and that's what we're missing right now, is the will to fix this, at least enough of a will to give a little to get a little. And the will come around, but it'll probably be after some sort of a tragedy that can be relayed right back to the open border.
The Senate planned to vote last night on the standalone bill. It included aid for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, but it was postponed amid negotiations on whether or not to allow amendments. While much of the nation's attention so far has been on the southern border, back on Tuesday, 15 people were detained at the northern border near Nitchie.
Border Patrol officials say that makes 34 migrants detained in that area just in the past 2 weeks, all of which are families. Border Patrol officials say they're stretched thin right now.
We cover 861 miles of border, and we have roughly 200 agents. So our agents, they're incredibly vigilant. They do a phenomenal job, but I mean that's a very big ask.
Last week, Cass County Sheriff Jesse Johnner wrote a letter to North and South Dakota congressional delegates urging them to do something to help the border crisis. But he says so far he has not gotten a response other than they got his letter. Well, today is Giving Hearts Day, a day for you to support the charities and causes you love. Take a look at that, 11.5, pushing $11.6 million.
Whoa. So if you at home don't know which group to donate to yet, you can head on over to givingheartsday.org. This is a live look at the website and the amount. They have listed a step-by-step guide on how to find a charity to give to.
Last year, our community gave $26.2 million for charities. Wow. You can look for our coverage throughout the day right here on Valley News Live.
Make-A-Wish Briley! Make-A-Wish Briley! As they erupt in cheers here, one of the organizations that's been preparing for Giving Hearts Day is Make-A-Wish North Dakota. This organization helps children with critical illnesses.
Just yesterday, they granted a wish for a Fargo teen who's been battling cancer, sending her on a trip to St. Thomas.
My best friend and I are planning to go to St. Thomas together in March. Yeah, so that'll be super exciting just to end end my treatment and be able to enjoy after all this and kind of get a break from school, just go on vacation.
Riley's been cancer-free for about a year. She's taking her best friend on the trip.
Thank you all so much for waking up with us right here on the Valley today.